What's good, guys? Welcome back to the last minute predictions where we go over each and every single one of these fights, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event. It's Christmas, last pay-per-view of the year. What better way to do it without breaking down the last pay-per-view of the year? This is last minute predictions. We go over each and every single one of these fights, break them down, break down the best odds, and I try to inform you my best knowledge and my best plays. So without further ado, let's break down Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Łukasz Brzeski. Before anything gets settled and the dust settles, I want to mention that Bryan battle missed weight, 4 pounds, disgusting. That's insane, man. I know it seemed like he tried. I don't want to say it was a calculated weight miss, but it happens. And let's just hope that he still performs the way he does, and this doesn't fluctuate his performance. Anthony Smith missed weight as well, but he made weight on his second attempt. So everybody made weight except for Bryan battle. Of course, my lock of the week. Let's go. Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Łukasz Brzeski. Łukasz Brzeski plus 460. Kennedy Nzechukwu minus 650. When we look at this, Kennedy Nzechukwu is moving up to heavyweight. Second appearance at heavyweight. First beat Chris Barnett. Very successful UFC heavyweight debut. He's a former 205er taking on Łukasz Brzeski, and I think he's going to knock him out and finish him inside the distance. I have Kennedy Nzechukwu at a minus 650. I have him in some parlays, but we have to mention Kennedy's a huge southpaw, decent takedown defense, never out of a fight except for that fight with OSP. Kennedy's going to be looking for that knockout. He's versing Łukasz Brzeski, a guy who's 1-4 in his last 5. No chin, coming off of that early KO loss to the heavyweight GOAT, Mick Parkin. Make what you want. Mick Parkin's the heavyweight GOAT. Over 1.5, minus 152. Under 1.5, plus 120. I'll take the over 1.5 at a minus 152. Fight doesn't go the distance. No at a minus 290. I like that. Kennedy by KO on points, minus 350. A little juiced. Kennedy by KO straight, minus 145. I like that as well. Kennedy by points, plus 370, just in case we get like a little bit of a Robelis de Spain type performance where Robelis de Spain ends up losing by decision, but Kennedy has gone the distance before. So we know that he's the only guy to beat Carlos Ulberg, and he finished him. So that's a pretty notable win. Fight ends by KO, minus 180. I like fight ends by KO, minus 180. Kennedy by KO, minus 145. Over 1.5 at a minus 152. And I like Kennedy money line at a minus 650, parlayable. But my best props are over 1.5, minus 152. Kennedy by KO, minus 145. And fight ends by KO at a minus 180. I think he should be able to finish Kennedy. I think Kennedy should be able to finish Łukasz Brzeski inside the distance. And if he's not, then Łukasz Brzeski's way tougher than I expected him to be. Let's go. This is the fight that I'm really excited for. Clay Guida versus Chase Hooper. Clay Guida plus 680. One of the biggest underdogs on the card, if not the biggest underdog. Chase Hooper minus 1,150. This guy was a minus 1,200, and it reduced by 50 points overnight. I don't know what's the point of that. The odds just fluctuate like that. Clay Guida, 42 Hall of Famer, king of having good fights, throws his shirts into the crowd. He has straight wars, relentless pace with hands, wrestling good chin, but sucks at defending subs. Coming off of that fun loss to Silva, taking on Chase Hooper. We know he got submitted in the grappling match by a calf slicer. So, what are the best props? I'll tell you right now. Chase Hooper by submission, minus 130. I like that. Hooper by points, just in case. Sprinkle, plus 240. Hooper by KO, plus 750. If there's a ground and pound likely scenario, there's going to be a very, very tough fight for Clay Guida. He's tough. Sometimes he's even tougher than his own good. If this goes to decision, Hooper by points hits, perfect. Hooper by KO, ground and pound, if it's possible, plus 750. I thought that was a little crazy if anybody wants to sprinkle that. Fight doesn't go the distance. No, minus 240. I like that as well. Hooper by sub or points, double chance, minus 470, which is not bad. It's parlayable. Over 1.5, minus 158. Under 1.5, plus 126. For the over 1.5 to hit, this fight has to touch round 2. Do you think that this fight touches round 2? Does Clay Guida survive 5 minutes? Scrambling, rolling. What do you got like Chase Hooper? Maybe, maybe not. If you don't want to play that game, I like Chase Hooper by submission straight. I think he should be able to get that submission at a minus 130. I also like over 1.5 at a minus 158. It's a little bit of a Hail Mary, but also on the safer side, Hooper by sub or points at a minus 470. It's parlayable with Kennedy by KO straight. I think this is a great fight to start rolling into UFC 310. I think this is going to be a good card, and give me Hooper to win this fight by second round submission. I'll take the over 1.5 at a -158. I'll take Hooper by points, sprinkle, plus 240. I'll take Chase Hooper by submission, -130. And then I'll take Hooper by submission or on points at a -470. Let's go. I don't think Clay Guida should be able to win this fight. If he does, it'll be very surprising. And I wouldn't be surprised if Hooper even drops Clay Guida. It's going to be a banger fight. Banger fight. I can't wait for tomorrow, man. Can tomorrow come any sooner, bro? 7:17. Let's go. Michael Chiesa -116 versus Max Griffin, who's a -102. This fight the odds have been fluctuating all over the place. Max Griffin is the older fighter, which is surprising. Chiesa is a grappler, straightforward game plan. He's going to be looking for takedowns, body locks, double legs. Once on top, his ground and pound is good, and he's going to look for submissions. Coming off of that dominant win over Tony Ferguson, taking on Max Griffin, who has a total of 8 knockdowns in his UFC career. He's a solid grappler too as well. Averages about 2 takedowns per fight. Coming off of that super close win over Jeremiah Wells in February. What I like is fight goes the distance. Yes, -158. No, +124. I'll take yes at a -158. Chiesa by points, +220. Chiesa by sub, +420. Max Griffin by KO, +410. Max Griffin by points, +210. Over 2.5, -192. Under 2.5, +150. Fight ends by points, -170. So, I'll tell you one thing. I like either guy to win by decision. I think we all know that this fight's going to go the distance. I like the over 2.5 at a -192. I like Michael Chiesa by points at a +220. I like fight goes the distance at a -158. And I also like fight ends by points. Just in case either of them wins by decision, this goes the distance. Fight ends by points cashes, over 2.5 cashes, and fight goes the distance cashes. I want to mention that this fight is a pick'em. The odds have been changing. Max Griffin was the favorite, -120. Now it's Michael Chiesa, -116. This is a -1-800 gambler type of fight. If you want to take one of these guys, take them in a parlay and then continue your parlay. But I recommend don't gamble everything into this fight. This is a 1-800 gambler type of fight. I'll take Michael Chiesa to win this fight by 29-28 unanimous decision. It's going to be a very tough fight. Honestly, this is probably going to be one of the first fights that goes the distance on the entire card. Give me Michael Chiesa to win this fight. And like I said, I'll take Chiesa by sub, +420, just a little sprinkle. Chiesa by points, +220 sprinkle. Fight goes the distance, yes, -158. Over 2.5, -192. And fight ends by points. Let's go. Chiesa, let's go. 8:33, next fight. Joshua Van versus Cody Durden. This is a banger fight. +124 for Cody Durden. Joshua Van, -156. He was -158 2 days ago, so the odds are a little, they're changing, and I think a live bet would be interesting in this fight. I think this fight screams violence. These guys are both looking for a win. These guys are both hungry. These guys are a vet versus a guy who's trying to put his wins together, trying to find his rhythm in the UFC. This is going to be a banger fight. One of my most anticipated fights of the entire card on the prelims. 17-6 for Cody Durden. Josh Van has 14 fights, but he's a young kid, only 23 years old. You can say that he's too active, and that could be bad for his own good. I'm going to read all the props. Van by KO, +220. Van by points, +310. Durden by points, +320. Durden by sub, +550. Fight goes the distance, no, -148. Yes, +116. Over 2.5, -116. Under 2.5, -110. That's a pick'em right there. Van by KO or on points, -120. Cody Durden by sub or on points, +165. I think it's going to be either or. I like double chance because it's either going to be double chance Joshua Van by KO or on points or Cody Durden by submission or on points. I like either side. Sprinkle either side if you want. I'm on Joshua Van. I'm heavy on Joshua Van. I know a lot of people are on Joshua Van, but I have a lot of friends that are on Cody Durden, and they're heavy on Cody Durden because of the grappling and the relentless pace. I will say Cody Durden struggles to maintain top control, and that's what's going to favor and make my pick. Joshua Van to maybe get a late third round, second round TKO when Cody gasses. Both of these guys are susceptible to uppercuts. They both got finished by uppercut in their last loss. But Cody Durden beating Matt Schnell. Joshua Van having his most recent win against Edgar Chairez. This is going to be a banger fight. I'll take Joshua Van moneyline -150. I'll take Joshua Van moneyline -156. I'll take Van by points +310. and then I'll take fight goes the distance. There's a little bit of a questionable play because the over 2.5 and under 2.5 is, you could flip a quarter on it and the odds are dead even, -110 for the under, and over is -116. I'm going to be taking the over 2.5. I'll take the over 2.5 at a -116. I'll take fight goes the distance, no, at a -148, just in case one of them hits. And then I'll take Van by points +310. And then I'm going to take Van by KO or on points at a -120. I think the best prop out of all of these is Van by KO or on points at a -120. I think he should be able to win. If not, late third round TKO by unanimous decision, 29-28. I'll take the over 2.5, and I'll take fight doesn't go the distance. And then give me Van by KO or on points at a -120. Let's go. And Cody Durden tries to scare him. Like, dude, like, bro, come on, bro. You're going to have to pay for that tomorrow, my guy. Let's go. 9:45. Let's go, let's go, let's go. I was all over the place with this one. Chris Weidman versus Eryk Anders. Eryk Anders -104. Chris Weidman -118, -116. Honestly, the odds are flipping, just like the last fight, just like the fight prior as well. The odds are crazy for this entire card. Weidman by points +175, but we have to mention who these guys are before we get into the props. The fight is at catchweight. We know Eryk Anders is actually coming clean, and he's no longer an addict, so that could have a new regimen. He could have a new resurgence in his career and bounce and have a nice win over Chris Weidman. But I will say this is going to be one of those fights where it's another 1-800-GAMBLER type of fight, and there's nothing wrong with skipping a fight. I think this is one of those fights that a lot of us should skip, but we have to mention when they face off. This guy used to compete in football. He used to compete in a lot of sports, so his physicality, his own strength carries him in a lot of his wins, versus a guy who was the middleweight champ, who has seen the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows, has won against Anderson Silva twice, and then broke his leg the same way he beat Anderson Silva. So these guys have very different trajectories in their careers. I will say, I will always be a Weidman guy. I was backing him last time he was going to fight, and I'm going to back him this time. I did make a pick flip last week, but this is an official pick flip, guys. I'm going back to Weidman, and I want to say, let me read you all the props, and I'm going to give you guys my best props. Weidman by points, +175, check. I like that one. Weidman by KO, +600, a little bit of a Hail Mary. Anders by KO, +440. I know a lot of my friends are on Anders, and if you're going to go Anders by KO is very likely. Anders by points, +210. Fight goes the distance, yes, -192. No, +150. I'll take yes that this fight goes the distance at a -192. Over 2.5, -235. Under 2.5, +180. If there is a finish on either side, I think it's going to be Eryk Anders finishing Weidman, but I think that this fight's going to go the distance, and Weidman should be able to win a decision, unanimous, 29-28. Weidman by KO on points, +105. Weidman by sub points, +125. Anders by KO on points, +100. These are the best props, the double chances. Anders by KO on points, +100. Weidman by sub or points, +125. Weidman by KO on points, +105. I'll take Weidman by KO on points, +105. I'll take the over 2.5, -235. And then I'll take Weidman by points at a +175. It's going to be a banger fight. This fight is a 1-800-GAMBLER type of fight, so I'll gladly skip it. But I know a lot of you guys are going to be gambling on this fight. So let's go. Good luck to a lot of you guys. 10:44. Let's go. My lock of the week. You missed weight by what? 4 pounds? What the fuck? What the... Why? Why, Bryan Battle? Why? What are you doing? Bro, this guy, you can't be playing jokes when it comes to the, as you get higher and you're trying to get into the rankings, my guy. This is going to be one of those tests that Randy Brown's a guy who you do not want to be messing around with this. A lot of people are saying that this wasn't a calculated weight miss, and I agree. I don't think that this was calculated. I don't think he wanted to miss weight. I think he really tried to make weight. And we know Randy Brown was really mad. He was mad at the fact that he had to cut weight and Bryan Battle missed, and he has an advantage tomorrow because he doesn't have to rehydrate as much as Randy Brown did. It's going to be a banger fight. And when we look at the way these guys size up, this is why last minute predictions is so important. Look at how much taller Randy Brown is. A lot of people are going to be heavy on Randy Brown, especially after Bryan Battle missed weight. Bryan Battle has a cut over his eyebrow. We saw an embedded. He was getting a haircut. Make what you want with all that. Randy Brown +160. Bryan Battle -200. I'm going to read you guys all the props. I'm going to be taking Bryan Battle. He's my lock of the week, so I'm riding this into the sunset. Bryan Battle by points +220 just in case. I don't really like that. I think this fight ends inside the distance. Battle by KO +280. I like that sprinkle. Brown by KO plus 500. I thought that was crazy considering that these guys are equally as skilled. And this could be a kickboxing match. Anybody could put anybody's lights out. So plus 500 seems a little ridiculous. Brown by points plus 500 as well. Fight goes the distance. No. Minus 150. Yes, plus 120. I'll take no at a minus 150. Over 2.5, minus 122. Under 2.5, minus 104. A little bit like that Joshua Van, Cody Durden, where the over 2.5 is at a pick'em. I think the under 2.5 should hit in this fight. I do think that when it's a pick'em, you can kind of just take one of them and just ride it. Fight ends by points plus 110. Honestly, I don't like that. Fight ends battle by KO or on points minus 135. I like that. Brown by KO or on points plus 120. So considering that Bryan battles a minus 200, he was a minus 245 before he missed weight. I like Bryan battle to win by KO or on points. I know a lot of people have Bryan battle by submission. My lock of the week, I don't think he's gonna win by submission. It's possible, but it's not likely. So I'll take Bryan battle to win by KO or on points at a minus 135, and then I'll take the under 2.5 at a minus 104, and I'll take fight doesn't go the distance at a minus 150. It's going to be a banger fight. Randy Brown's smooth, slick on his feet, and that jab could give him problems, but I think Bryan Battle should be able to eat a couple of punches and put this guy out. Let's go, Bryan Battle, my lock of the week. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. I shouldn't do that, though, because Kong Wang did that, and how did that go for her? Movsar Evloev versus Aljamain Sterling. Plus 194 for Aljamain Sterling. Although he was a plus 200 just last night, the odds are shrinking. Movsar Evloev was minus 265. Now he's a minus 245. So it seems like the price tags are shrinking on both sides. Both of these guys, Justin Bieber versus Aljamain Sterling, former champion of the world versus maybe a former title contender, maybe even a future champion. This is going to be a banger fight. You know, when Aljo has these green braids, you know he's coming with everything that he's got. His most recent win was to Calvin Kattar. Movsar Evloev recently has 38 takedowns in 8 UFC fights, coming off of that win over Arnold Allen, where the knees gave him an issue, taking on the former champion Aljamain Sterling. Backpack king, wide stance style, striking, lands almost 5 significant strikes per minute, and only absorbs 2. Great full work and range, coming off of that featherweight debut. Dominant win over Calvin Kattar, where Calvin had no takedown defense. Aljo might get absolutely smoked, but I do believe he can hang in the scrambling department. Seeing this, Aljamain looks bigger. He looks bigger, but Movsar Evloev looks more cut. When you look at the chest frame and you look at the triceps and all that, it looks like these guys are going to be in for a mirror match. This looks like this could be a mirror match. Aljamain Sterling is one of the best grapplers that Movsar Evloev has ever faced. I don't think Diego Lopez is close when it comes to the submission attempts that Aljamain Sterling can pull off. This guy can pull off some arm triangles off of his back. So you do not want to get twisted in a little bit of a scramble with a guy like Aljamain Sterling. He hasn't got a submission recent, but this guy is a problem. I'm very high on Aljamain Sterling, and he's by far one of my favorite fighters. I'm going to be going Movsar Evloev, and I'm going to be going Movsar Evloev to win this fight by unanimous decision. I would like Aljamain Sterling to win this fight, but I have to mention Movsar is undefeated. He's coming with everything that he's got, and he's probably on that gear. I'm going to tell you guys my best props. Movsar by points, minus 125. I like that. Although he could maybe get a ground and pound TKO, I don't think it's likely. Aljamain is tough, especially at 145. He doesn't have to cut that much weight. Movsar by sub, plus 1,600. Little crazy Hail Mary right there. Sterling by points, plus 370. Not likely, but not impossible. Sterling by sub, plus 900. Will this fight go the distance? Yes, minus 330. It's already juiced. Jump on that right now. That's a parlay piece. No is plus 235. I think this fight goes the distance. Over 2.5, minus 360. Under 2.5, plus 260. I'll take the over 2.5. Movsar by KO on points, minus 210. Movsar by submission on points, minus 160. I like that because he's going to win by decision either way. So give me Movsar by submission on points, minus 160. And then I'll take Movsar by points, minus 125. And I'll take this fight goes the distance at a minus 330. I want to mention, if you want to take Aljamain Sterling and you still want more juice, go Aljamain Sterling by submission or on points. If you go Aljamain Sterling by submission or on points, it's a plus 220, and you can never go wrong with that. Aljamain Sterling could definitely get a submission. He's got submissions over Corey Sandhagen. This guy's a grappler at its finest, and this guy's going to perform. He always does. Even when he got TKO'd against Sean O'Malley, he was having success in the first round. So, Aljamain by sub or points, plus 220 is my best prop for Aljamain. I'm going to be saying my best props for Movsar one more time. Movsar by points, minus 125. Over fight goes the distance, minus 330. And then Movsar by submission or points, minus 160. It turns a minus 240 into a minus 160. And considering he might win by decision either way, him to win by submission or on points, I know it's not likely, but it reduces the odds, and it can help a lot of us have some cash. Let's go. Movsar Evloev to win by decision. Let's go. 14-19. Themba Gorimbo, guys, versus Vicente Luque. Vicente Luque looks good, though. Plus 136 for Vicente Luque. Themba Gorimbo, minus 168. I want to mention Themba Gorimbo has had one of the toughest, upbringings into the UFC. The fact that he has paint on his, I believe it's where he's from. So it's very important where he's at and how he's here today. And I'm glad that he represents that very good. Plus 136 for Vicente Luque. Themba Gorimbo, minus 168. Themba has power in his hands, solid wrestling, great takedown defense, fantastic sub, 62% takedown defense. But if you remove, Vicente Luque has a 62% takedown defense, but if you remove the Bilal Muhammad fight, Vicente Luque has only been taken down 7 times in 16 fights. It's still bad. We know he's coming off that. It was long ago, but he had a brain hemorrhage. His most recent TKO loss is to Buckley, where he couldn't find his range, and he got finished. Themba Gorimbo, The Rock's prodigy. A lot of people are very high on him. Themba Gorimbo's a beast. He is just trying to live his dream. He's on a 4-fight win streak, very long for the weight class. Uses his length to counter, charges forward when he sees openings, and he's definitely going to be looking for that takedown. I'm going to be reading all the props. Themba Gorimbo is the younger fighter. It's kind of crazy, but it's only by a couple of months. Themba by points, plus 135. Themba by KO, plus 500. Vicente Luque by points, plus 470. Not likely, but not impossible. Vicente by KO, plus 650. Will this fight go the distance? Yes, minus 138. No, plus 108. I'll take yes that this fight goes the distance at a minus 138. Over 2.5, minus 168. Under 2.5, plus 132. I'll take the over 2.5 at a minus 168. It's the same as Themba's money line. Fight ends by points, minus 150. I think that should hit as well. Fight ends by KO, plus 280. Themba by KO on points, minus 135. It turns a minus 168 into a minus 135. We know Themba's going to be trying to grapple, but I don't think he's going to be able to submit a guy like Vicente Luque. If anything, Vicente Luque might submit Themba Gorimbo. I'll go Themba Gorimbo by KO on points at a minus 135. Although Themba by sub or points is a minus 105, I don't think it's likely. It does reduce the odds, though. Luque by KO on points, plus 250. If you like Luque, go Luque by sub. Luque by submission is very likely, but I will be going Themba Gorimbo by KO on points at a minus 135, and I'm going to be going this fight goes the distance at a minus 138, and then I'll go Themba by points at a plus 135. It's going to be a very close fight. We know Themba was expected to finish Nico Price, and he wasn't able to. So, make what you want. His whole country he will be backing, and I think he will have success tomorrow. Let's go. Themba Gorimbo, let's go for the win by unanimous decision, 29-28, after a hard-fought battle. Let's go. I can't wait for that scrap. But we can't say that scrap will be better than this one. This Anthony Smith versus Dominick Reyes is going to be an absolute banger. Right now, I'm just trying to find the timestamp. 15:44. Right here. Let me just get a drink right here. Dominick Reyes weighs in, minus 350. Anthony Smith, plus 265. We have to mention Anthony Smith's win over Victor Petrino. That submission win was amazing. And we can't say that that's impossible for a guy like Anthony Smith to pull off again. Anthony Smith, big name, but he's coming off of that loss over Roman Dolidze. Roman Dolidze, who's a middleweight, who beat a 205er. Dom Reyes used to be talked about super highly since that Jones fight, since he lost. He was KO'd back to back to back. Good power, good technique, 2 takedowns in the UFC, low 28% takedown accuracy, but a solid 80% takedown defense. He broke his 4-fight losing skid with a quick KO win over Dustin Jacoby. And that was his first win in 5 years. And he is back as a 4-1 favorite. I'm going to be taking Dominick Reyes. Dominick Reyes has a lot of first-round KOs on his resume. I'm going to be taking Dominick Reyes by first round KO. I know a lot of people are taking Dominick Reyes by KO in general, but I sprinkled Dominick Reyes first round. I sprinkled Dominick Reyes by KO. Dominick Reyes by KO, minus 115, sprinkled already. Reyes by points. Reyes by points is a plus 330. Smith by KO, plus 750. I thought that was insane. Smith by points, plus 700. Over 1.5, minus 160. Under 1.5, plus 126. Reyes by KO or points, minus 290. Reyes by sub or KO, minus 145. Smith by KO on points, plus 350. Fight ends by KO, minus 170. Fight doesn't go the distance, minus 260. I'll take this is a little bit of a risky one, but I'll take the over 1.5 out of minus 160. I'll take Reyes by KO out of minus 115, and then I'll take Reyes by KO or on points out of minus 290. I think the best prop out of all this is the over 1.5 out of minus 160 and Reyes by KO out of minus 115. I want to mention that it is possible for Reyes to win by decision. It's not likely, but don't be surprised if this goes to split decision. If this fight goes past 7.5 minutes and then we're looking at a sloppy split decision, I'm going to be going Reyes by KO, specifically in the first round, but round 2 is very likely as well. I like Dominick Reyes to win by KO rounds 1 or 2. He's a first round KO guy, and if he doesn't get the first round KO, it tends to look a little sloppy. I'll take Dominick Reyes to win this fight by first round KO. I'll take the over 1.5. I'll take Reyes to win by KO straight, minus 115. And then I'll take double chance Reyes by KO on points at a minus 290. Let's go. Banger fight. I think you should be able to get this win over Anthony Smith. Honestly, if Anthony Smith wins, this guy's the underdog. King. Nate Landwehr versus Doo Ho Choi. Nate Landwehr, minus 140. Doo Ho Choi, plus 114. Doo Ho Choi got his... Okay. So, when we break down this fight, one thing I want to mention is that Choi, who has 5 Fight of the Night bonuses in only 7 fights, good takedown defense, doesn't get too wild. He started his career and was rushed. First win in 8 years over Bill Algeo. Korean Superboy is a menace. This is a big ask for Choi, but Choi's takedown defense needs to be on point for this matchup. He needs to keep his back off the fence, and Nate is a bit chinny, getting wobbled and dropped. Choi could put his lights out. I'm going to be going Nate Landwehr, and I like Nate Landwehr at a minus 140. Honestly, when we look at these odds are all over the place. I'll take Nate Landwehr at a minus 140 money line, and then I want to mention when we look at all of these props, some of the best props to mention is Nate by points, plus 280, just in case. That is not likely, though. This fight screams absolute violence, and it's going to end inside the distance. Nate by KO, plus 360. That's very likely. Sprinkle that. Doo Ho Choi by KO, plus 300. Not bad. Doo Ho Choi by points, plus 500. Will this fight go the distance? No, minus 192. Yes, plus 150. I'll take no, minus 192. Over 2.5, plus 124. Under 2.5, minus 158. Fight ends by KO, plus 120. I'll take fight ends by KO, plus 120. Under 2.5 out of minus 158. And then I'll take Nate by KO at a plus 360. Let's go. It's going to be a banger fight. I can't wait. This is a great way to start the main card. And maybe this is why Aljamain and Movsar weren't on the main card. 18-13. Let's go. Bryce Mitchell versus Kron Gracie. Bryce Mitchell minus 800. Now, right now, as we speak, is minus 750. Kron Gracie is a plus 490. This guy is a huge underdog. Kron Gracie looks different every time I see him. He's always doing some weird ass shit. And Bryce Mitchell just walks up to his fucking fist. This is the weirdest. This is the weirdest fight I've ever seen, bro. Homeless Kron Gracie, massive last name, some of the best grapplers, pioneers of the sport. Kron Gracie can't wrestle. But Bryce Mitchell has that Arkansas wrestling. Arkansas versus Gracie. Who's going to win this fight? It's going to be a banger fight. Who's going to win? Arkansas wrestling or judo? Excuse me. When I look at all these props are juiced all to the grills. And Bryce Mitchell did just get KO'd by Josh Emmett really, really bad. Kron Gracie is a good grappler, and the submission is live for him, but no hands at all. Lost to Cub Swanson, then took 5 years off and came back and looked worse. This guy is absolute trash. Bryce by points, minus 170. I like that. Took that already. Bryce by sub, plus 500. It's More likely that maybe Kron Gracie is able to get the submission and Bryce Mitchell is not, and he grapples this guy to a decision. But don't throw it out the window. It's not impossible. So Bryce by sub plus 500. Bryce by KO plus 600. I think it's more likely that Bryce Mitchell gets a submission, although we could see a ground and pound finish. So Bryce by KO is not bad at a plus 600. Kron by sub plus 1,100. Will this fight go the distance? Yes, at a minus 225. I like that. No, at a plus 172. I don't really like that. Over 2.5, minus 280. Yes, under 2.5, plus 210. Nah. Mitchell by KO on points, minus 300. Mitchell by sub on points, I believe it's a minus 350. But we have to make sure that when we're talking about both of these guys, they do not have the highest fight IQ. When I look at both of these guys, I like double chance. Bryce Mitchell by sub or on points, minus 330. Bryce Mitchell by KO on points, minus 300, just in case. And then I like Bryce Mitchell by points at a minus 170. I like fight goes the distance at a minus 225. And then finally, I like the over 2.5 at a minus 280. But the best prop out of all of this is Bryce by points at a minus 170. And this fight goes the distance at a minus 225. I hope Kron loses. Let's get a Bryce Mitchell win. Let's get him back in that win column. Let's go. Did they try to shake hands and Bryce got denied? Oh, he kind of did. 1937, let's go. Ciryl Gane versus Alexander Volkov. Ciryl Gane minus 400, plus 290 for Volkov. Ciryl Gane is one of the best strikers, one of the best in and out game striking ever. Great striking differential, landing 5, only gets hit with 2, good footwork, sometimes sets up takedowns. He took down Dontel Mays, Rosenstrike, and Francis Ngannou. Ciryl Gane, though, he can't defend takedowns that well. He's coming off of that KO win over Sergey Spivak, which is a very good win because Sergey just beat Tybura, who Tybura just beat Jonathan Denise. He's taking on Volkov, who just beat Sergey Pavlovich, who we know Sergey Pavlovich was looked at as a menace to society. Very durable, fought the best of the best, always a company man, Volkov. A decision win over Sergey Pavlovich was a masterclass. His jab was excellent that fight. Gane beat him already by decision, their first matchup. Volkov didn't shoot a single takedown. Gane actually shot a takedown. I'll pick Ciryl Gane to win by decision. We know Ciryl Gane sometimes shoots a takedown every now and then. This guy Volkov is fucking huge, bro. Volkov tries to shake his hand, I believe. Oh, he gave him a pill. What the fuck? He's like, which pill do you want to choose? Yo, that was actually fucking sick as fuck. I missed that. What? That is actually fucking amazing. I never seen somebody do that shit. Bro, that is actually amazing. I'm going to read you guys all the props. But watch Volkov win because of the Matrix. He gave him a pill. Which pill do you want to take? Gane by points, minus 135. I like that. I think that's one of the best props by far. Gane by KO, plus 400. Is a 3-round fight. Might not be possible. Volkov by KO, plus 1,000. I just wanted to throw that in there. Volkov by points, plus 490. Over 2.5, minus 320. Under 2.5, plus 225. Fight ends by points, minus 260. Gane by KO on points, minus 300. And then Gane by sub or points, minus 175. Volkov by KO on points, plus 320. I'm going to tell you guys this. Gane by points, minus 135. Check. Gane by sub or points, minus 175. I'll take that. And then I'll take the over 2.5 at a minus 320. I think this fight's going to look very good. I think this fight is very good. I think this fight's going to be very fun. Volkov is he's a mastermind. His fight IQ is one of the best. And his most recent win showed that on full display. Volkov is cool. I saw him getting his hair combed in between rounds. So you never know. This guy could get his hair combed in between rounds, and that could give him extra energy, extra power to go forward. So I'm going to go Ciryl Gane, and I'm going to go Ciryl Gane to win this fight by unanimous decision at a minus 135. I'll take Ciryl Gane by KO on points at a minus 300, parlayable, and then I'll take Gane by sub or points at a minus 175. Let's go. 2107, 2107. It's already that time. It's already that time, bro. Holy. Shavkat Rakhmonov versus Ian Machado Gary. Shavkat Rakhmonov minus 400. Ian Machado Gary bouncing plus 300. He's a bigger dog than Volkov. People think Volkov has a better chance to beat Ciryl Gane than Ian Gary does to beat Shavkat Rakhmonov. If you guys saw my 6 best bets, you guys saw the bonuses. One of them is over 2.5 at a minus 156 at the time. Now it's a minus 166. So I recommend jump on the over 2.5 for Shavkat versus Ian Gary. I think it should hit. And I did say that they should have put a belt on the line, but Ian Gary mentioned that he wouldn't feel like champ if he won because he knows that the rightful champ is waiting to recover. I want to mention that 18-0 Shavkat with a 100% finish rate. He likes to jump gillies. He likes to KO everyone in his path. And this guy is a fantastic mixed martial artist. He got 1 takedown out of 5 attempts on Wonderboy, but that's all he needed to get that submission. Ian Machado Gary is a solid striker, and I think he's faster. But I want to mention how Shavkat Rakhmonov could definitely find a submission on Ian Gary. These guys clash heads, but right before we get into that, we have to look at all the props. My whole breakdown was Usman did not want this fight. He was getting mad because he was facing a lot of backlash. But we have to give Ian Gary credit where it's due. This guy shows up when nobody wants this fight. They call Usman, nah, I can't right now. Nah. They call Colby, nah, I can't right now. Call JDM, nah, I'm injured, I can't right now. Ian Gary takes this fight. We have to show both of these guys are absolute menaces when it comes to mixed martial arts. Shavkat Rakhmonov has a beautiful, you saw my in-depth breakdown, knee on the body, control, good takedowns. He just doesn't move his head. Ian Gary's beautiful striker, goes 0 to 100 real quick, flows in his flow state a little bit more smoother. And Shavkat Rakhmonov went to war, toe-to-toe with Jeff Neal. Ian Gary was a little bit more flawless with that performance. Make what you want with that, because Shavkat was still able to finish Jeff Neal. And Ian Gary went to split decision with him. I think the cardio is going to be put on test for both of these guys. And I do like the over 2.5. I haven't went through all my props yet, but the over 2.5 is by far one of my best props for this fight. I want to mention that the over 2.5 could go to burn if Shavkat gets a submission or finishes guy within 2 rounds. Let's look at all the props. Over 2.5, minus 166. Under 2.5, plus 128. Shavkat by sub, plus 190. Shavkat by KO, plus 280. Shavkat by points, plus 320. It might be one of those, so sprinkle all of them. Ian Gary by points, plus 700. Gary by KO, plus 650. Fight goes the distance, no, minus 250. I like the same game parlays. There's a lot of same game parlays for this. And I want to mention that this fight to go the distance is plus 188. That's not impossible. This fight could definitely go the distance, but it's more favored that it doesn't. Shavkat by sub or KO, minus 155. Shavkat by KO on points, plus 100. Gary by KO on points, plus 320. Shavkat to win by sub and in rounds 3, 4, 5, plus 550. Gary to win by KO rounds 3, 4, 5, plus 1,500. My take, and I think a lot of you guys could maybe agree with this. I think there's going to be a finish in the later rounds. I think there's going to be a finish in round 3, 4, or 5. I don't think there's going to be a finish in round 1 or 2. So I do like sprinkling Shavkat to win by sub in rounds 3, 4, and 5 at a plus 550. And I like Gary to win by KO in rounds 3, 4, and 5 at a plus 1,500. I'm going to be going Ian Gary, guys. I'm going Ian Gary, and I'm going Ian Machado Gary to win this fight by unanimous decision. I want to mention that it's going to be a tough fight. I think Ian Gary should be able to win this fight 48-47, 49-46, and 48-47 by unanimous decision. But a guy like Shavkat Rakhmonov is going to be shooting. He's going to be trying to manage distance, trying to close distance, trying to get Ian Gary on the cage, trying to trip him, trying to go for a takedown. And all he needs is one takedown. If he gets him down once, he could just wrap up a guy like Ian Gary. And we know that he said that he submitted Ian Gary before in training. So make what you want with this pick. But this is one of my most confident picks. And I want to mention that it's going to be a very competitive fight. Both of these guys are undefeated. And we're going to find out who takes their first L tomorrow. A lot of people have Shavkat Rakhmonov. If you want Shavkat Rakhmonov, I'll give you the best props. Shavkat by sub or KO, minus 155. Shavkat by KO on points, plus 100. And then Shavkat by submission or on points. I'll tell you right now what that is. I thought I had it here. Here it is. That's my best double chance, in my opinion. My best double chance is Shavkat by submission or on points at a -140. And then I also like Shavkat by KO or on points at a +100. One of those should hit. But you guys know I'm going Ian Gary, so I'm taking the over 2.5 at a -166. I'll take this fight. Doesn't go the distance. No at a -250. Same game parlay. And that's fine. I think those two props should be able to hit. This fight doesn't go the distance and over 2.5 at a -166. I'm going to be taking Ian Gary, so I will sprinkle Gary to win by KO rounds 3, 4, and 5. I think this fight should end by finish in the later rounds. Shavkat the Nomad has finished everybody in his path, and who's to say that he's not going to be able to finish a guy like Ian Gary? So if you're going to go Shavkat, go by Shavkat by submission or on points, or go Shavkat by KO or on points, or you can go Shavkat by KO or submission, but I do think that it is possible for Shavkat to win a decision as well. It's not impossible. So, with that being said, I'm going Ian Machado Gary to win this fight by 48-47, 49-46, and 48-47 unanimous decision to beat Shavkat Rakhmonov Nomad and give him his first L. It's going to be a very tough competitive fight for Ian Gary. I know a lot of people are going to be laughing because bro's picking Ian Gary. But I'm going to go Ian Gary, guys. May the best man win. Let's go, Ian Gary. Let's fucking go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Ian Machado Gary 0 to 100 real quick. You're faster. You have better cardio than him. And I want Ian Gary to grab inside the glove when Shavkat's trying to look for that rear naked choke. You know, we got to cheat a little bit if we got to win. Let's go. Now it's time for the main event. 26-33. Let's go. It's already that time. Alexander Pantoja versus Kai Asakura. Pantoja looks like RDA. He should have let his mustache grow a little more. It was actually kind of cool when he had it like that. Alexander Pantoja -260. Kai Asakura +200. Very rare instance. Pantoja is looking to defend his belt for the third time against a guy making his UFC debut. Who is that guy? Asakura. Oh, we don't want a K-pop champion. I saw some guy say that in the crowd. Pantoja is going to be looking to make his third title defense. This guy is very interesting, honestly. I think Pantoja has really shown us who is dominant over the flyweight division. Honestly, Pantoja looks at this guy trying to scare him, and he just laughs at him. He's just like, bro, you are nothing to me. That's what Pantoja says. You are nothing to me. And he says it in Portuguese. This is a very rare instance where Kai Asakura is fighting for the title. The UFC probably wants Kai Asakura to win. In a title fight, this is going to be insane. This weight cut could have been a little hard for Kai Asakura, but he made it. Bryan Battle wasn't able to make weight, and this guy made weight on his UFC debut. The weight cut can be hard, but he made weight. It's already done. The hardest part is already done. All you got to do is show up. I'm going to read you guys my best props, but we have to mention that this guy's a Japanese superstar with one of the most highest Instagram followers of the entire card. You look at the UFC chat. I'm looking at the UFC chat right now live. Look at how many Japanese flags there are in the UFC chat. I'm going to read you guys all the props. I'm going to be picking Pantoja to win this fight by unanimous decision, but I like double chance Pantoja by sub or on points. A KO is likely considering that Kai Asakura got KO'd in 3 out of his 4 losses, but I do think Pantoja by sub or on points is very likely. I'm going to read you guys all the props. Pantoja by sub +190. They get into each other's faces. Pantoja by sub +190. Pantoja by points +310. Pantoja by KO +460. Kai by KO +360. Kai Asakura by points +750. Asakura by sub +2,700. Fight goes the distance. Yes, +192. No, -260. Over 2.5, -128. Under 2.5, +102. Fight ends by KO +165. Fight ends by points +185. One knockdown in the fight, -240. I like that special one. If you guys get a special main event piece, if you see one knockdown in the fight at a -240, jump on it. But I do like specifically Pantoja to land one knockdown at a +120. Pantoja to win by KO or sub, -110. Pantoja to win by KO or points, +140. Pantoja to win by sub or points, -145. It was a -140 2 days ago, so it went up a little bit. Pantoja to win by sub, rounds 3, 4, and 5, +600. Asakura to win by KO, rounds 1, 2, or 3, +500. It's a pick your poison type of fight. This is going to be a banger fight, a banger way to end off the last pay-per-view of the year. And what better way to end off the last pay-per-view of the year with a Japanese superstar making his UFC debut against one of the most scariest, intimidating, most dominant flyweight champs since Demetrius Johnson. This is going to be one of the best, if not fight of the night. Maybe not fight of the night, but I bet you both of these guys get a bonus. It's going to be a banger fight. I think this fight, I'm going to tell you guys my best props. This fight doesn't go the distance. No at a minus 260. I'll take, this is a little bit of a Hail Mary sprinkle. Pantoja to win by sub rounds 3, 4, and 5, plus 600. My best prop, Pantoja to win by sub or points, minus 145. And then I like the over 2.5 at a minus 128. If you guys saw the bonus, the 3 bonuses were over 2.5 Ian Machado Gary Shavkat, over 2.5 main event, Pantoja Asakura, and the extra bonus was Pantoja by sub or points at a minus 140. Now it's a minus 145. Honestly, it's going to be a banger fight. Kai Asakura looks huge. And we know that if this guy can get his range going, get his takedown defense on point, get off the fence, stay in the middle of the cage, he can definitely replicate a little bit of what Usyk was able to have success with. Denying the takedowns and putting pressure on a guy like Pantoja. But all's well, ends well. Who's the best at fighting 5 rounds at flyweight? Pantoja. I think he's one of the best fighters at performing consistently. And like I said in my breakdown, this guy always performs with everything, always is set to perform no matter how sick he feels, no matter how weird he feels, no matter what circumstance, no matter how much blood is coming on his face, no matter who he's fighting, Pantoja always prevails. He always performs. I'll take Pantoja to win this fight by 48-47, unanimous decision, and by submission. I'm taking a double chance, guys. I'm actually going to go Pantoja to win by submission round 3. I'm going to go submission round 3. I sprinkled Pantoja to win rounds 3, 4, and 5 by submission plus 600. And then I took the over 2.5 at a minus 128. And then I took Pantoja to win by submission round points at a minus 145. And lastly, I took that this fight doesn't go the distance at a minus 260. So just in case the over 2.5 doesn't hit, fight doesn't go the distance hits. Let me know what you guys think. This is going to be a banger fight. If you guys are looking for parlays, go look at my 6 best bets. Honestly, it's going to be a banger card. UFC 310 will be excitement, and I hope you guys are ready for this excitement. It's going to be a banger card. I hope you guys are ready. Here we go. I'll take Pantoja by submission on points, minus 145. I'll take the over 2.5 at a minus 128. And then I'll take this fight doesn't go the distance at a minus 260. And I'll take Pantoja to land 1 knockdown at a plus 120. Let's go. Let me know what you guys think, and let me know your best props. You can put them all together, try to mix and match, and we'll find out if there's an and new or an and still. And then we'll find out who's next for the welterweight title. A lot of welterweight fights on this card. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know your most anticipated fight. I like Aljo and Movsar. I like Cody, Durden, and Joshua Van. And I like Ian Gary versus Shavkat Rakhmonov. Let's go. I'll see you guys in the next one. Let's fucking go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Peace. The best is blessed, baby. Let's get it. Merry Christmas. Last pay-per-view of the year. Let's go.